The week following the email was the longest of Fiona's life. She and Kai went through the motions of normalcy, work, dinners, falling asleep in each other's arms, but the unspoken weight of soul hung between them like a storm cloud that refused to break. Kai threw himself into work with an intensity that bordered on obsessive, taking meetings at all hours, reviewing documents until his eyes were bloodshot. Fiona recognized it for what it was, avoidance. As long as he was busy, he didn't have to make the decision that would change everything. But time had a way of forcing choices, whether you were ready or not. It was Melissa who finally said what Fiona had been thinking all week. They were having lunch in the small park across from the office, unseasonably warm for late autumn, when Melissa set down her sandwich and gave Fiona a long look. "You're going to tell him to go, aren't you?" Fiona had been staring at her own untouched food. "What makes you say that?" "Because I know you. You're already convincing yourself that the noble thing, the right thing, is to step aside so he can take this opportunity without guilt." Melissa shook her head. "Don't do it, Fiona. Don't make his decision for him." "But what if I'm the only thing stopping him from his future, his family's legacy, everything he's worked for?" Fiona's voice cracked slightly. "How can I live with that?" "How can he live with losing you? That's the real question." Melissa reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "Love isn't about martyring yourself, it's about fighting for what matters, together." But that night, when Fiona came home to find Kai sitting in the dark, staring at his laptop screen with an expression of such profound exhaustion that it made her heart ache, her resolve wavered. "Hey," she said softly, setting down her bag. "Have you eaten?" "Not hungry." He didn't look up from the screen. "I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to restructure the Seoul operations so I could split time between here and there. 6 months in each place, maybe. But the logistics are..." He rubbed his face. "It's not going to work. My mother's right. If I take this role, it needs my full attention, full presence." Fiona sat beside him on the couch, her heart hammering. "Then maybe you should take it." Now he looked at her, his expression sharp with sudden focus. "What?" "This is your family's business, Kai, your legacy. You've been grooming for this your entire life. I won't be the reason you lose that." "So what are you saying? That we're done?" His voice was dangerously quiet. "I'm saying that maybe we need to be realistic. We've been together for 2 weeks, and we're already facing an impossible situation. Maybe that's a sign." "A sign of what? That we should give up at the first obstacle?" He stood up, packing. "I thought you were stronger than that, Fiona." "This isn't about strength. It's about being practical." "Practical?" He laughed, a harsh sound. "You want to know what's practical? Walking away from you, taking the sole position, marrying someone my mother approves of, living the life everyone expects me to live. That's practical. That's easy. Is that what you want me to do?" "I want you to be happy." "Then stop trying to make my decisions for me." He crouched in front of her, taking her face in his hands. "I know what you're doing. You're scared, so you're pushing me away before I can hurt you. But I'm not going anywhere, Fiona. Not unless you look me in the eye and tell me you don't love me, that this was just a fling. Can you do that?" She couldn't. The words wouldn't come because they would be a lie, and she'd promised him, that she wouldn't lie about this. "I love you," she whispered instead, tears spilling over. "That's why this is so hard. I love you enough to want what's best for you, even if that's not me." "You are what's best for me. Why can't you see that?" He kissed her, desperate and pleading. "Don't give up on us, please. Give me time to figure this out." She nodded, but even as she held him, doubt whispered in the back of her mind. Love wasn't always enough. Sometimes the world had other plans, and wanting something badly didn't make it possible. The next morning, Jai-woo was waiting at Fiona's desk when she arrived. She looked immaculate as always, but there was something different in her expression, not triumph exactly, but a kind of resigned determination. "We need to talk," Jai-woo said, "privately." Against her better judgment, Fiona agreed. They went to a coffee shop 2 blocks away, sitting in a corner booth where they were unlikely to be overheard. "I'm going to be direct," Jai-woo began, stirring her untouched latte. "The sole position is non-negotiable. Mrs. Yoon has made that clear. Kai takes it, or he loses any significant role in the family business. She'll structure things so he's essentially pushed out over the next year." That's cruel. That's strategic, and it's effective. Jaiwoo met her eyes. But there's a solution, one that benefits everyone. Let me guess, you. Me, Jaiwoo confirmed without shame. I marry Kai. He takes the sole position. You step aside gracefully. Everyone gets what they need. Except Kai doesn't love you. Love, Jaiwoo said the word like it was quaint. Love is a Western obsession. What Kai and I have is better, mutual respect, shared culture, aligned goals. Love can grow from that foundation. It's more stable than passion, which burns hot and fast and leaves nothing but ash. You really believe that? I've seen it work for my parents, my grandparents, countless couples in our community. Arranged marriages, strategic partnerships, they last because they're built on something more substantial than feelings. Jaiwoo leaned forward. I'm not the enemy here, Fiona. I'm offering you both a way out of an impossible situation. Kai gets his career, his family's approval, everything he's worked for. You get to find someone who can actually be present in your life, not torn between continents and obligations. And I get, she paused, what I've always wanted, a partnership that makes sense. But he doesn't want that. He wants me. He wants you now, in the heat of new love when everything feels possible. But give it 6 months of long distance, of missed calls and time zone differences, and the strain of trying to maintain something across an ocean. How long before that love turns to resentment? Before he starts wondering if it was worth it? Jaiwoo's voice softened. I'm trying to spare you both that pain. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone you love is let them go. Fiona felt something crack inside her chest. Because as much as she wanted to dismiss Jaiwoo's words as manipulation, there was an uncomfortable truth in them. She'd seen long-distance relationships fail. She'd watched love crumble under the weight of practical realities. Think about it, Jaiwoo said. Standing, really think about what's best for him, not what you want but what he needs. If you truly love him, you'll do the right thing. She left Fiona sitting there, her coffee growing cold, her mind churning with doubts that wouldn't quiet. That evening, Kai came home to find Fiona packing a bag. He stood in the doorway of the guest room, his face carefully blank. What are you doing? I think I need some space, just for a few days to clear my head. Space, he said it like it was a foreign word. Or are you running away? I'm trying to think clearly, and I can't do that when I'm here, when every time I look at you her voice broke. I need to figure out what the right thing to do is. The right thing is to stay, to fight for this, to trust that we can figure it out together. He moved into the room, taking the shirt she was folding from her hands. Talk to me, Fiona. What happened? What changed? Jaiwoo came to see me. His expression darkened. What did she say? That she's offering you a solution. Marriage to her, the sole position, your family's approval, everything tied up neatly. Fiona met his eyes. And she's not wrong, Kai. That is the practical choice. The one that makes sense for everyone except us, accept what we feel, accept the fact that I'm in love with you, not her. He pulled Fiona close, his hands on her waist. Do you honestly think I could marry Jaiwoo and be happy? Spend the rest of my life wondering what if, wondering what I gave up? But what if we try long distance and it fails anyway? What if 6 months from now we're miserable and you've lost the sole opportunity for nothing? Then at least we tried. At least we fought for something real instead of settling for what's easy. His forehead pressed against hers. I'm not going to lie and say this will be simple. Long distance is hard. The time difference, the physical separation, the strain, it's all real. But you're real too. What we have is real. And I'd rather fight for something real and difficult than accept something convenient and hollow. Your mother will never accept me. Maybe not, but I'm 32 years old. At some point, I have to live my own life, make my own choices, even if those choices disappoint the people I love. He cupped her face. Don't leave, not like this. Not when we haven't even tried to find a solution. What solution is there? You need to go to Seoul. I have my job here, my life. So come with me. The words hung in the air between them, simple and impossible all at once. What? Fiona breathed. Come to Seoul with me. We'll figure out a job for you there, teach you Korean, navigate it together. His eyes were intense, searching hers. I know it's asking a lot. I know it's terrifying, but I'm asking anyway. Come with me, Fiona, build this life with me. Kai, I can't just, that's not. She pulled away, packing. You're asking me to leave everything. My job, my friends, my country, to move halfway around the world for a relationship that's barely 2 weeks old. That's insane. Is it, or is it the only thing that makes sense? He followed her, persistent. What are you really afraid of? That it won't work, or that it will? That if you come with me, you'll be all in, no safety net, completely vulnerable. Both, all of it, everything. She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. What if I give up everything and we don't make it? What if your family never accepts me? What if I can't adapt to Seoul, can't learn the language, can't fit into your world? What if I end up alone in a foreign country with nothing? Then I'll be alone right there with you. Because if we fail, Fiona, we fail together. But if we succeed, if we actually pull this off, think about what we could have. A life we built together. A future we chose instead of one that was chosen for us. This is crazy. Probably, but the best things usually are. He took her hands. I'm not asking you to decide tonight. I'm just asking you not to give up yet, not to run away before we've even tried. Can you give me that? She wanted to. God, she wanted to believe that love could be enough, that they could make this work against all odds and logic. But the fear was so loud, drowning out everything else. I need time, she finally said. Real time, to think about this without you looking at me like that, making me want to say yes to anything. How much time? I don't know, a few days, a week maybe. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. Okay, if that's what you need. But Fiona, he caught her hand as she reached for her bag, don't let fear make this decision. Don't let Jaiwoo or my mother or anyone else tell you what you should do. This is our life, our choice. Make sure whatever you decide is what you actually want, not what you think you should want. She left that night, checking into a hotel because she couldn't face going back to the apartment she'd shared with Derek, couldn't bear to ask Melissa to take her in and face the inevitable questions. She needed to be alone with her thoughts, her fears, her impossible decision. The next 3 days were a special kind of torture. Kai respected her request for space, sending only one text. I love you. Whatever you decide, that doesn't change. Work was awkward. Everyone could tell something had happened between them, could sense the tension when they were in the same room. Jaiwoo appeared twice more, each time with a knowing look that made Fiona want to scream. It was on the third night, alone in her hotel room, staring at her phone and debating for the 100th time whether to call Kai, that clarity finally came. Not in a dramatic revelation, but in a simple, quiet realization. She'd spent her entire life playing it safe, choosing the practical path, the sensible option, the thing that wouldn't rock the boat. She stayed with Derek for 2 years longer than she should have because leaving was scary. She kept her career ambitions small because reaching higher meant risking failure. And where had safe gotten her? A relationship that had died from neglect. A career that was fine but not fulfilling. A life that looked good on paper but felt hollow. Then Kai had walked into her life like a force of nature, offering something terrifying and exhilarating and completely uncertain. And for the first time in her adult life, she'd felt truly alive. Was she really going to walk away from that? Was she going to let fear make her decision? She picked up her phone and called him. He answered on the first ring, his voice rough like he'd been sleeping. Fiona. I've been thinking. Okay. About what you said, about coming to Seoul, about taking the risk. She took a breath. It's completely insane. I don't speak Korean. I've never lived abroad. I have no idea what I do for work there. Every logical part of my brain is screaming that this is a terrible idea. But, hope crept into his voice. But I'm tired of listening to the logical part of my brain. I'm tired of playing it safe and choosing comfort over possibility. Her voice strengthened. So yes, I'll come to Seoul with you. I'll take the risk. I'll build this crazy, uncertain future with you and pray that we figure it out as we go. The sound he made was somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Are you sure? Really sure? Because once you say yes, I'm not letting you take it back. I'm terrified, but I'm sure. She smiled through her own tears. Come get me, please. I don't want to spend another night away from you. I'm already in the car. He was at her hotel in 15 minutes, and the moment she opened the door, he pulled her into his arms, holding her like he'd never let go. I love you, he said against her hair. I love you so much it actually hurts. I love you too, enough to be completely reckless, enough to upend my entire life. She pulled back to look at him. But we're doing this together. Every decision, every challenge together. Together, he agreed, sealing it with a kiss that tasted like promises and hope and a future they'd build brick by brick. The next morning, Kai requested a meeting with his mother. Fiona insisted on coming with him, united front and all that. They met at the same restaurant where the disastrous dinner had taken place, Mrs. Yoon already seated with her customary poise. Mother, Kai greeted her in Korean, then switched to English for Fiona's benefit. Thank you for meeting with us. Mrs. Yoon's gaze flicked between them, assessing. I assume you've made your decision about Seoul. I have. I'm taking the position. He took Fiona's hand. And Fiona is coming with me. We'll be moving together in 3 months. For a moment, Mrs. Yoon's composure cracked, surprise flickering across her features before she schooled them back to neutrality. I see. And you think this is wise? Bringing her into a culture she doesn't understand, a business she has no connection to. I think it's necessary, because I'm not willing to choose between my career and the woman I love, so we're finding a third option. Kai's voice was firm, respectful, but unyielding. I'm asking for your support, Mother, but I'm not asking for your permission. I'm 32 years old. It's time I lived my own life. And if I refuse to support this, if I withdraw the Seoul offer, then I'll find another path, build something new, but I'm not giving up Fiona. Not for the business, not for family approval, not for anything. He leaned forward. You raised me to be strong, to know my own mind, to make difficult decisions. This is me doing exactly that. I hope you can respect it. Mrs. Yoon was silent for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. You sound like your father did when he told his family he was marrying me. They thought I was too ambitious, too modern, not traditional enough. She looked at Fiona with new eyes. He chose me anyway, built a life with me despite their objections. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that you do the same. Does that mean, Kai started? It means I don't approve. Not yet, but I respect your conviction. Mrs. Yoon turned her attention fully to Fiona. If you're coming to Seoul, you'll need to learn Korean properly. I know an excellent tutor, and you'll need to understand our business culture, our social expectations. It won't be easy. I don't expect it to be, Fiona said quietly, but I'm willing to try, to learn, to earn your respect if not your approval. We'll see, Mrs. Yoon stood. I'll have the Seoul contracts prepared, and Fiona, she paused, welcome to the family, provisionally. It wasn't a warm acceptance, but it was a beginning. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. Fiona gave notice at Sterling and Associates, receiving mixed reactions. Some colleagues were supportive, others thought she was throwing away her career for a man. She didn't try to explain that it felt less like sacrifice and more like choosing herself, the version of herself who took risks and chased possibilities. Jaiwoo appeared one last time, finding Fiona packing up her desk on her final day. But this time, her expression held something different. Not hostility, but a kind of wistful resignation. So you're really doing it, Jaiwoo said. I am. For what it's worth, Jaiwoo paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. I underestimated you. I thought you'd be practical, sensible, that you'd do what I would do and walk away. What changed? Fiona asked. I realized that maybe being practical isn't always the answer. Maybe sometimes you have to be a little crazy. Jaiwoo smiled, and for the first time it seemed genuine. There's someone, back in Seoul, a doctor, completely unsuitable according to my family's standards. I've been pretending he doesn't matter, that I could marry Kai and be content. But watching you too, she shook her head. You reminded me that love is supposed to feel like something, not just make sense on paper. So what are you going to do? Call him, see if he's still interested in someone who took entirely too long to figure out what she wanted. Jaiwoo extended her hand. Good luck in Seoul. I have a feeling you're going to need it, but I also have a feeling you're going to be fine. They shook hands, and Fiona felt a weight lift. Jaiwoo wasn't the enemy. She'd just been another woman trying to navigate impossible expectations, taking the path she'd been taught was right. The day before they left for Seoul, Kai's father requested a private dinner with Fiona. She went alone, nervous but determined, to a quiet restaurant where he was waiting. Thank you for coming, Mr. Yoon said as she sat. "I wanted to speak with you without my wife or son present. Should I be worried?" He smiled. "No, I wanted to give you something." He slid a small box across the table. Inside was a delicate jade bracelet. "This belonged to my mother. She gave it to me to pass on to my son's wife when the time came." Fiona's throat tightened. "Mr. Yoon, I can't." "You can, and you should." He closed her fingers around the box. "My wife is a formidable woman. She runs much of our business, makes the hard decisions, protects our family's interests. But sometimes, in protecting, she forgets that our children need to make their own mistakes, find their own paths." "Is that what you think I am? A mistake?" "I think you're a risk, but the best things in life usually are." His eyes were kind. "I see how my son looks at you, like you're the answer to a question he didn't know he was asking. That's rare. That's worth fighting for. Even if it's hard, even if Seoul doesn't work out. Especially then, because you'll have tried. You'll have been brave enough to reach for something real." He stood, squeezing her shoulder. "Welcome to the family." Fiona, truly. The morning they left for Seoul, Melissa and a handful of other colleagues came to the airport to see them off. There were tears, promises to visit, the strange, bittersweet ache of closing one chapter to open another. As they waited to board, Kai pulled Fiona close. "Last chance to change your mind. We can stay. Find another way. I don't want you to have regrets." "No regrets," she said firmly. "Just excitement and terror, but mostly excitement." "Good, because I have something for you." He pulled out a small velvet box. Fiona's breath caught. "Kai." "It's not what you think, not yet anyway. We have time for that." He opened it to reveal a delicate necklace, a small pendant in the shape of a compass. "So you never lose your way, and so you always remember, home isn't a place, it's wherever we are together." She let him fasten it around her neck, the weight of it settling against her heart like a promise. Their flight was called. They gathered their bags, passed through the gate, settled into their seats. As the plane lifted off, Fiona looked out the window at the city falling away below, her past, her safe choices, her careful life. Then she turned to Kai, who was watching her with such love and hope and certainty that it took her breath away. "Ready for our adventure?" he asked. She laced her fingers through his, feeling the rightness of it, the impossible certainty that this risk, this leap, this crazy decision was exactly what she was meant to do. "Ready," she said, and meant it with everything she had. Below them, the world spread out in endless possibility. Ahead of them, Seoul waited with all its challenges and unknowns. But sitting there beside Kai, his hand warm in hers, Fiona felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope, pure, uncomplicated, brilliant hope. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid of what came next. She was ready to embrace it, with all its complications and uncertainties and beautiful, terrifying potential. Together, they'd figure it out, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Together,